Hi, I'm Eric Page, CEO of Stride. We are a 100% remote company doing back office services like bookkeeping, accounting, payroll for a lot of professional service organizations. We've been using Asana for a little over 2 years, very heavily for a little bit over a year, and happy to answer any questions that folks have. So our entire onboarding process is inside of Asana. And so literally the first thing that people see when they start at our company is the Asana onboarding project plan. And so they have no choice but to start using Asana. The second thing that we do is we immediately pre-plan and we turn off email notifications so that people get accustomed to on day one using their Asana tasks and their Asana inbox. Resistance to using Asana, absolutely. You cannot force people to use software. So instead, we have an acronym called WIFI, What's in it for you? And we made sure that from the start that we had a really good WIFI for every individual that is using Asana. And so one of the first things that we did when we rolled out Asana organization-wide was we implemented an ideas and an issues project where anybody in the organization can submit an issue or an idea. The entire organization gets to see it and action can get taken. And so by doing that, we enabled every single person to have their voice heard, and we found that that drew some really good engagement. A day in my life actually starts the night before. So the last thing that I do every single night is I go in and I point out my most important things to do for the following day. And then when I wake up in the morning, I know, hey, I already have the start of my day planned. I do that first thing on that list. The next thing that I do is I head over to my inbox and I scroll through my inbox just like the way that I used to scroll through my email. I find out if I have anything new to do in there. And once I've gone through my inbox, and you'll see my inbox is empty, and that's fairly standard for me, then I pop back into my most important things to do for the day. Once I've gone through that, then I look at my upcoming. And what you'll see is that I keep it all pretty darn clean. I have hundreds of things probably in my later section, but anything that I don't plan on getting done in the next 1, 2, maybe 3 days. My day's going great. How's yours? One of the key features that we used at Asana that really drove adoption was the use of custom fields. And so you'll see here, this is actually our ideas project. And what you'll see is that we have a number of custom fields like the priority and the level of effort and what function it's in and the status of it. And what that allowed us to do was to treat Asana partially like a spreadsheet and partially like a project management tool. And that really increased the flexibility of the ideas functionality for us. We use Salesforce as our CRM tool of choice. And then we pretty rapidly switch over to Asana to do the more detailed work of trying to close the deals. And you'll see me scrolling through a template that we have right now, starting with the sales and the pre-close work, going down to the handoff from sales to implementation. And you'll see we've got maybe 30, 40, 50 items to do. And what we've found is that Salesforce is really good as the database of record, and that Asana is really good for us to put the details in of each specific task that we're working on to take the client from a prospect to a client. One of our principles at Stride is to make and honor commitments. Asana is one of the major tools that we use to make transparent if we are making and honoring our commitments. And so what we find is that when we make and honor our commitments, then people are doing more valuable work. When people are not honoring their commitments, e.g. not updating Asana to reflect reality, then people are ending up doing a lot more busy work, checking in on people, trying to understand where things are, maybe duplicating work. And so it goes down to that principle, make and honor commitments, and our team believes in that. One of our principles at Stride is leverage the wisdom of the group. And so on a quarterly basis, we get together with the group and we identify our key objectives for the quarter. And what you'll see here is an older version of some key results that we were looking for a quarter. And we break that down by critical success factors. So you see CSF1, and that breaks down into CSF1A and 1B and 1C, etc. And then what we do is each of these ends up getting a project. And so you can see here that this project here, CSF4A, workload predictability, now has a plan underneath it. And so we can measure from all the way from the absolute top goal that we have as an organization for the quarter, all the way down into the detailed tasks that we are executing upon daily to achieve those goals. So I actually don't use the celebration creature functionality, but if someone does want to make a pickles celebration creature, then 100% I'm turning it on. I think the most important principle that we have around successfully leading a 100% remote team is to have really well documented principles. So we have 12 principles. Each of those principles breaks down to the science underneath the principle, the detail of those principles, the way that we use those principles in the organization, and we train people on that from the day that they get to the organization, and we use those principles in almost every meeting that we have. One of the most important principles with remote organizations relative to others would be that 100% of drama in this world is a lack of a shared agreement towards a goal and a plan to get there. And so we train people to create impeccable shared agreements on what the key to long-term adoption is not to rush it. There has to be some element of organic adoption because people are going to see the value differently at different times. So me as a CEO will see it differently than one of our bookkeepers. This is still a journey for us, so I don't want to pretend that it's a light switch change. The key is to lead with very clear goals, with intention to achieve those goals, and with an intention to create as much of a shared agreement internally on the best path to achieving those goals. And over time, what we're finding is that those shared agreements are increasingly leading towards people adopting Asana. So yes, I do use Asana for my personal life in a few different ways. And here's an example. So a while back, I went through and I identified my 5 core values. And so you'll see one here: feel and be healthy, have great friends and family, help others grow by instilling principles-based leadership. And then every month, what I do is I start off and I say, well, where am I on this, living this core value? Am I at risk? Am I on track? And then each month I go through and I identify what I am going to do in order to make sure that I am really living that core value. So some of them might be kind of exercise related for feel and be healthy, follow through on my run exercises. Some are going to be around adventure and change. So going rock climbing, multi-pitch climbing. Some of it's going to be really around deepening relationships. Okay, so some people have been asking about pickles. And what I can share is that if you send an email to picklesloveshismom@gmail.com, this guy will get a few treats, and you will get a video of him eating those treats with a happy little response from this little guy. So I know he'd appreciate that.